Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And today we'll talk about how to address the procrastination of hybrid and remote workers. Let's talk about that. Now, managers, I've heard this time and time again when I run focus groups for clients, managers complaining about those who work in a hybrid or remote modality, missing deadlines, having delays on tasks. And research by Microsoft shows that 85% plus of leaders find it challenging to have confidence in the productivity of employees when they work remotely, whether full-time remote workers or hybrid employees when they work remotely. So tight labor markets, we still have tight labor markets, and they can make managers resentful of employee flexibility. And so companies driven by these managers who are concerned about deadlines and procrastinations are trying to get employees back to the office most of the week or even all of the week. There's more and more drive to get employees in for 4 days, 5 days a week. Now, is this really procrastination by employees who just sit at home and watch TV and don't actually do their work? Or is it something else? In my experience, it's something else. It's poor coordination. So hybrid workers are actually on the whole more productive than in-office workers. That's very clear to see. There is extensive research showing that people who work in a hybrid modality are more productive. But they complete tasks often actually later than managers prefer, even though they're overall productive, because they are miscoordinated. The issue is not procrastination, but poor coordination. Overall, they're more productive, but they may not work on the tasks that are most important to the manager at the moment. And that's not the fault of the employee. That's the fault of the manager. The manager is responsible for setting up a coordination system that will make sure that their staff members, their team members, are working on the most important tasks. Now, in office-centric work, coordination is much easier. Managers coordinate teams naturally and intuitively. They've been taught to coordinate and manage by walking around. They have brief chats with employees who provide task updates, and so managers can address their internal anxiety and gain confidence in progress and realign tasks if they're not aligned with team objectives. So these misalignments can be quickly addressed. Adapting to changing priorities is another key thing because plans often change quickly. That's the reality of modern businesses. So managers know pretty quickly and easily how to reprioritize activities when they're in the office and their staff are in the office. They simply walk to their team members and have a chat about reprioritization. But it's harder to do so in remote work when hybrid employees are working remotely. So Microsoft research shows that managers can't they can't see productivity in a hybrid workplace. So they can't see who's hard at work by walking around. They can't know who they can pull over to chat to and coordinate with and re-coordinate with. So they can't easily align and realign and reassign tasks through in-person conversations. And they don't know as well where their human resources are deployed. And creating this cohesive team culture and knowledge is pretty challenging because that's a difficult thing to do when employees aren't physically present with each other and you don't know the tactics of doing so in a hybrid modality. So this is the challenge of coordinating in hybrid work. EY had a survey called Work Reimagined, which found that 79% of employers actively promote hybrid work to retain and attract talent. So at least some of their employees are working in a hybrid modality, 79% of employers. But managers don't actually receive training in hybrid work. That's very sad and even tragic. This lack of tragic leads to using outdated strategies like trying to manage by walking around, recreating this management by walking around in the remote environment. And that just doesn't work well. It doesn't work in a hybrid workplace to try to email people and get their check-ins. So the challenge of managing priorities in hybrid work is that managers don't have the training to evaluate the performance of hybrid workers, and they don't know how to set up systems to reprioritize tasks effectively and to see when and how and what their team members are doing. So they're trying to reinvent the wheel on the fly, and often their new methods don't really work well because they're not using best practices. Microsoft research shows that 81% of employees actually want help prioritizing their workload, but only 31% say that they get clear guidance during their one-on-ones on what they should be doing. So that's not great. So there's a need for intentional coordination in hybrid teams, much more so than the natural and intuitive way, gut reaction way, that's something that's comfortable, that managers are comfortable with from office-centric work. So SHRM's survey found that 42% of supervisors forget about remote workers when assigning tasks. That's obviously a problem. So managers must learn deliberate skills, systems, and processes to coordinate their hybrid teams effectively. But there's a reluctance to learn about how to do hybrid work arrangements well due to a cognitive bias called functional fixedness. Functional fixedness refers to something that's a fixed perception of a correct way to function. It's kind of like the hammer-nail syndrome. When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, when you learn one way of functioning, like leading a team, coordinating a team, managing a team, prioritizing tasks, you tend to apply that to all other contexts. Even when something that was functional in a previous context becomes dysfunctional in a new context, you still have that functional fixedness. Managers still have that functional fixedness. So old ways of functioning are difficult to change. That really impedes their ability to adapt to managing and coordinating teams in remote settings. So managers are trying to shoehorn office-centric methods into hybrid work, and that's not great. Effective project management in hybrid teams means accepting that old ways won't work and using a good collaborative project management tool to actually track employee progress on any tasks. Employees should update their progress daily on what they've done. That allows for easy checking of current task status by their manager, and it helps replicate the manager's ability to quickly assess progress, even more so than they would by walking around previously, because they can just glance at their computer screen and then they can check with the employee if they want a current time update. That helps them gain confidence and reduce anxiety and ensure alignment and revise misaligned tasks. As part of this, you want to set communication guidelines. This is important for solving that coordination problem where tasks and priorities suddenly change. So managers complain about late communication from hybrid employees. I've seen this time and time again. They need to set reasonable and clear expectations about communication. For example, you want to set a specific time frame for common hours, and it depends on your company, but something I typically do with clients is 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in their time zone. And that will be adjusted depending on how large the company is and where other time zones for the company are located. So for example, if this is a company that has employees both in the Eastern and the Pacific, Central, and Mountain time zone, you might want to set a different time requirement. So instead of 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., it might be 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern, for example, which will capture at 9 a.m. Pacific, and that will go until 1 p.m. Pacific, and will go from 12 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern, so that's fine for everyone. And again, it depends. If you have European time, and you want to capture some of that, so that's going to be an 8-hour difference, so you'll want to capture the 4 to 5 p.m. time slot in that time slot, so you might make it something like 1 to 5 p.m. That could be a common time slot. And that should allow flexibility of your work time as well. So that means there's going to be some morning birds, some night owls. Keep that in mind when you're setting time zone differences, that it's not going to be something that's going to be especially stressful for people who are morning birds, who like to wake up in the morning and they don't function as well in the late evening. Night owls who like to wake up late don't function so well and they function really well in the late evening, but they don't function so well in the morning. And there are some people who might want to take some time off during the day for caretaker duties, chores, etc. I see a lot of working parents taking off like an hour around the 3 p.m. time slot to pick up their kids, especially working moms. So it depends on whatever their needs are. So keep that in mind when setting those common times. So during common hours, what those are about is that employees have to check messages regularly. They could decide every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and so on, and they respond right away when they see the message, at least with a confirmation of receipt and when you'll follow up. So what are the benefits of these common hours? It helps facilitate quick and easy collaboration, it keeps teams on the same page, and it helps you reprioritize quickly as needed. It's very effective for projects with tight deadlines. So that is a really good strategy for you to pursue, that common hours. Now, another thing that you want to be thinking about is regular one-on-one meetings for performance assessment with your manager. So managers should set up with each of their team members one-on-one weekly meetings. Weekly, bi-weekly, depends on the team. It depends on how closely you coordinate and how much collaboration you need. Employee before the meeting sends a brief report of their 3 to 5 top goals for the week, what they did in these goals, their tasks, any issues they faced, and a self-evaluation. And together you review the progress report with the team member. So the manager and the team member review the progress report at the weekly one-on-one meeting, and they determine tasks for the coming week. So 3 to 5 key tasks. The manager should provide some coaching on problem solving for the issues, if any is needed, and review self-evaluation, approve it or revise it. And the results should be recorded in a permanent and continuous performance evaluation. So this is going to really help you coordinate with your employees and help you see their performance over time. Okay, so let's review hybrid employee procrastination and managerial responsibilities. Coordination problems are what really causes manager perceptions of hybrid employee procrastination. And that's the responsibility of the manager to fix. Management by walking around is not enough for success. Managers must learn the skills to manage an increasingly hybrid workforce. And the skills involved there involve deliberate and intentional coordination for using tools like project management collaboration software that might include things like Trello, Microsoft Teams, Asana, Mondays, any project management coordination software. Set clear and reasonable communication expectations, and conduct regular one-on-one meetings with team members. All right, so that's how you should address hybrid work procrastination. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, and make sure to leave a review. It really helps others discover the show, and it helps us improve the show. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. In the meantime, the wisest and most profitable decisions to you, my friends.